The urban legend is, if you say his name 5 times while looking in the mirror, he appears in the reflection and kills you.
Who would do that?
Candyman. 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 Candyman.
Hello, and welcome to yet another PiP Chat, where, of course, we break down some of our favorite media. It could be video games, it could be movies. I believe the last thing that you'll see is actually we did a breakdown of 12 minutes, a spoiler cast, if you will. And today, Kale the writer and me want to talk about Candyman. So,
yes.
How are you doing, by the way?
I'm great. I did not sleep last night, so let's fucking go.
That was me actually after watching the movie. I've grown up, I don't get scared after movies, but that movie hit too close to home in certain aspects that I was like, this could be real. Like I'll take it. But of course.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So we're talking about, of course, Candyman 2021, which was just supposed to come out last year in 2020. Directed by Nina DaCosta, obviously produced by Jordan Peele. Everyone keeps trying to attribute him as the director. He is not. He is a producer. But he has a writing credit as well, along with Nina and someone else. And, of course, this is a reimagining / sequel, which Kale actually did not know that. Which is
I thought it was a completely different, or I thought because at one point in the movie they literally tell the story of the last movie, and I just thought it was something that happened in between the two movies. Like I had no idea.
No, which is awesome. So it is literally like, so there's technically now 4 Candyman films. There's Candyman, and then the 2 sequential like directed DVD quality ones, which are not good. I watched, there's a great, if you want to just know about them, check out a great YouTube channel called Dead Meat, which does a kill count of all the kills in the movies, but also does a recap of the films. So that way you can get caught up on your Candyman lore. It gets batshit crazy. I don't recommend it. There's a lot of elements in those movies, though, that does actually translate into here. Actually, funny enough, we hear the name of the original Candyman in one of those movies. It actually never said in the original film. So they bring that into this new movie. So they use that canon, and they use there's an art gallery in one of those movies too that also somewhat weirdly translates over here too. But of course, yes, we're going to talk about Candyman. We're going to try and be as spoiler free probably for the first part, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper. So of course, I saw your TikTok, I saw your call, I answered your call. I'm going to give you the floor. What did you think of Candyman?
Just sitting there coming out, like I was like very impressed about, because I'm not that big of a horror fan. Like, I've written a few horror shorts I've written and directed some in my life because it seems like the easy way out to do things. But like this one just felt so complex and so rich, and like everything that was being told was like, it tried to balance on horror and other things, and it brought in the horrors of reality into the whole thing. And I was just like very impressed with this director. And of course, like, of course, Jordan Peele, like an Academy Award winning horror writer coming in and writing this. And like, I was excited because Yahya Abdul Mateen II and Coleman Domingo being in a movie is just like, those are fantastic fucking actors. And then like when Teyona Paris's name showed up, I was like she's in this, like, because she did fucking amazing. Like she was my favorite part of WandaVision, so I was like just going in for that alone was worth it. And like
not even that, like her character is going to be in Nina DaCosta's next film, The Marvels, which is even cooler. So the fact that they're going to keep that relationship going, I think is awesome.
Which is like another thing is like, I'm super excited for that movie, like way more than I was before. Cause even though like I was okay on the first Captain Marvel, but like, of course, every like second time outing with the exception of Thor is like fucking great.
No, I 100% agree. So we'll see. And seeing the style, I'm like, immediately after watching this film, I wanted to go back and see where has Nina come from and what has she done before. She's done a feature before. I believe it was called Small Things. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I want to look at that too, but like, yeah.
Yeah, and that movie also got some bangers in it too, if I'm not mistaken. It is starring. Let's see. It is starring
Valkyrie, whoever Valkyrie is. I
Tessa
forget her name.
Thompson and Lily
Tessa
James
Thompson.
and
Yes.
Lance Reddick and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go check that out. That came out a couple of years ago. It's labeled as a crime drama western, so I'm kind of like interested in that. So that sounds really cool. So I'm definitely gonna check out Little Woods. I believe it's on Hulu, so I'm gonna give that a shot.
Yeah, I gotta resubscribe to Hulu eventually because something else is coming out soon that's big on Hulu.
You know, it's funny. There's another connection to this movie where Tessa Thompson is in that movie. Sorry to Bother You. There's a part where she does an English accent, and Lily James does the voice, and they're in this movie together. So that's actually
She does her white person voice.
she does her white person English voice.
Yeah, nice.
Which is
I love it.
That's
awesome.
So in terms of the movie overall, what stuck with you? Like in terms of the character of Candyman, the characters in the film.
Yeah, the character, like the mythos, I was very impressed with. Like, of course, not knowing anything about it, but then sort of like you find, like, to get a little bit spoilery, you find out more layers and depths of this character. Like, it starts out as like this traditional ghost story, and then as the main character goes in to do more research, you find out more things about it. But like, there's just so much layers, and like it brings up a good point about like art and gentrification and all this other stuff. Like, there are some great things that like I knew at some point something like this was going to come into the thing. I just didn't know exactly what it was from the trailer, but like just like watching it unfold and everything is like, I was like, this is just brilliant. And it's like, I mean, again, not to contribute like it all to Jordan Peele, but like sort of like the birth of like his filmmaking, and sort of like this was the perfect thing for him to produce.
Yeah, I think it fits in the mold along with Get Out, Us. Definitely is sort of this almost like taking back of Black culture in horror films in a lot of ways, and definitely talking about issues that are prevalent, but also allowing that to be horrific and also interesting and thoughtful. So that I find welcoming with all of his new projects and stuff that he's involved in. Even if some things I guess don't work, like Twilight Zone. Apparently, people have a lot of problems with. I only watched the first episode. I actually never continued through because it was on CBS All Access, and there's too many subscription services.
Yeah, I've never done CBS or Paramount Plus now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's too many.
like that's too much. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is Peacock? Like,
Yeah, and I'm not there to watch like Hawaii 5-0 or whatever. It's just like
no, there's some Star Trek cartoon that apparently is good, but I'll catch that eventually when it gets to something else, or when that streaming service fails.
I contemplated getting it for a week just to watch Quiet Place 2, but I'll just rent it. When it comes out on other platforms, it's $4. I've gotten the age where I'll pay the $4 to rent a film. Like that's fine with me.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this economy, it's like $4 to rent a digital film for 2 days is not that bad.
Yeah. Though, wait, I can get into that forever. But okay. Definitely hearing that, especially for someone who this is their first experience with Candyman. This is not my first experience. I have watched the original. I actually live in Chicago. I never lived near Community Green. I actually got to experience this new film. I actually watched it in the neighborhood that they're talking about, and that was scarier, and it hit a little bit harder because in the area that I was not far from the scene where he's walking in. There's the short stack houses of like the row houses. And I was maybe a mile or two away. That's how close. I was in the actual area in which they are living in, which is the old high rise area, or at least somewhere near in that area. Because there's a scene later on when he goes to a hospital and they say that the hospital, I'm like right down the street from that. Like, it was insane. So that was a fun experience. And I've obviously had some history and knowledge of Community Green and what it was. I had friends that used to live there, and used to have to go through that experience. Community Green, of course, was a neighborhood that was created, I believe, pre-World War II, if I'm not mistaken. and essentially was a low income housing for people to live in, majority African American people who exist in that area, but became very much crime ridden and gang affiliated and dangerous in certain aspects in certain eras. And in 2010, 11-ish, they, of course, knocked down the big buildings, which is insane to think about, Kale, because they go to those buildings in the original 1992 movie, and they recreate it exactly in this film.
Wow.
The part where, so the beginning of the movie, and this is not major spoiler, it's just the beginning of the movie, there's a part where a kid is going to do laundry, and he has to go into the high rises to do the laundry, and there's that doorway, is exactly how they had it in the first film. So props to however they did that, because either it was digital trickery or they created a small set to be that lower path. Like, it looked legit. So shout out to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But overall, my general thoughts on this film is like, I try to avoid this movie as much as possible because I am not the biggest Candyman fan. I mean, I enjoy the film for what it is, and I've watched it more recently in my life. And when I think about horror movies, I tend to think more of like Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, right? I'm definitely more on that camp versus sort of a slasher like thing, which Candyman 1 kind of is for the most part. It definitely had some social consciousness in it, but it was definitely more focused on it being a slasher. The fact that it's following a white woman going into an impoverished neighborhood to figure out why are all these killings being contributed to this ghost story. Like, that's essentially what the first film is, and she gets involved in it, and everyone makes this stupid mistake of saying saying Candyman 5 times, which I will never do. No. I can't even say Bloody Mary 3 times. Like, I'm not gonna. Don't even get me started. But of course,
I don't even look at mirrors.
There you go. Of course, when it comes to this movie, though, seeing it and learning, and it kind of got only a little spoiled for me, and I'm not going to say why, because someone told me they revealed like a character, their identity very early on, and I was like, oh, if I didn't know that, this would have probably blown my mind because I totally forgot the name of somebody in the first movie. But that doesn't matter. In this film, it is both I'm going to tell you up front, it is a sequel. It's definitely a sequel to the first one. It has elements that are definitely, like I said, connected to 2 and 3, but they pretty much are ignored as far as I'm concerned. And what they did with the concept and bringing in my city, bringing in elements of that era, that time, and the way that the movie immediately from the jump makes you unsettled. And it freaked me out because, you go to a movie theater and you're sitting around with people and the movie comes on, and there's just been instances where something's wrong with the film and the film's like, moved up or, something weird is happening. And that's what I thought immediately because you tell me because I only seen the movie once. The beginning of the film is in reverse. Am I crazy about that? It is? Okay, good.
No, it's the titles.
It's all the titles. Yeah.
It's all the titles or the production cards and the titles until when they reveal the year.
Yes.
And when they're in Capri Green. Yeah, it was backwards for me too, and I was just like, why the fuck is this projector broken? And then I saw the year. I was like, oh no, that's they wanted you to see it that way.
Yeah, and then
because it's the mirror. Like, spoilers, yes. It's the mirror.
Yes, which totally blew my goddamn mind when I was watching. I was freaking out, and that's perfect because it put me off on ease immediately before even the music started. I was put off by simply just looking at the title screens of these production companies. That some of them that I've seen in a while, like the Monkey Paw one. I'm like, this is not how it looks. Then it goes into the film, and then yes, even the social consciousness immediately in that first film is scary. I mean, this movie is, I will say, not scary. I will say it's unsettling throughout majority of it. It totally unsettles you to the point where makes you want to look back a lot. And it's because a lot of the scary imagery from especially the Candyman is all from like mirrors and shit, right? He's never like almost a Hami president until he's summoned. And that is what is really cool about this, is that I'm always unsettled no matter what, because he could be in any frame. There's a lot of body horror in this film, which there's one element of the movie that I don't like, and we'll talk about it. But it's because it was like, all right, man, you should have got that checked out like a long time ago. But we'll talk about that. I think the social. I know what you mean. Yeah, I think the social message of the film, I think, is actually pretty brilliant, and the way that it ties in real events, and we'll talk about that too, and how they evolve on the mythos of Candyman being more than just this ghost story, which, you know, from the backstory that you're kind of told of the original Candyman, it's kind of separate. How it's like so separate from like why they're in Chicago in the first place and why is it happening at this specific location. But the way that they tie it into, you know, the way that they go about it makes now more sense to me, especially about the main element, which there's a Candyman and there's things going on. So I heavily appreciate this film on so many levels: the music, the score, everything. God,
so good.
I got an email for the vinyl already, and I was looking at it, and it has the art that the main character draws on it, and I was like, I want it, but man, that will just terrify me if I keep it.
Damn.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I might have to get that. Oof.
Yeah, I know. It looks really good. But yeah, I enjoyed this film on all those levels. I think it's such a masterwork of execution, in my opinion, including even the silly stuff. There's a lot of silly stuff in there too, and a lot of that is because of characters and how the way they act. Specific characters, other characters seem more realistic than others, but I have a feeling why they're that way. But yeah, I really love this film to my core. So, did you have any other thoughts you want to get out before we talk deep spoilers?
No, I want to get into it, but it's just like, go see this movie. It only made $23 million, which is actually a lot post pandemic.
Yeah.
And now it's become the first the first number one box office opening for a female black director, which is like, it's about fucking time. But yeah, like, this monumentous achievement, like, just go see it. It's brilliant. All the actors are great. Like, yeah, just like, I cannot recommend. Like, if you're gonna go see one movie in theaters this year, go see that. Don't go see Shang-Chi tonight. Even though I'm gonna go do that.
I'm gonna go do that too as well. So
yeah.
I'm already looking at it. It looks like the budget for this film was $25 million. The box office is 31. So that's, you know, for a smaller budget film, that's actually pretty solid. Yeah. Especially, I believe, we're going to be going into week 2 now. So we'll see how it keeps going. So I'm excited for this to make more money, and hopefully, you know, maybe there's more Candyman. Honestly, the way this movie ends, though, I kind of don't want to keep perpetuating the Candyman, to be totally honest. Especially,
no, but it does leave itself open for more.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So definitely, yes, I agree. Please go check this out. Go see it on the biggest screen you possibly can. You know, bring a guest or don't. I watched it alone. That was a mistake.
Yeah, and if you bring a guest, don't talk the entire fucking time, because I will turn around and tell you to shut the fuck up. Because, and this is just an offside note before everybody tunes out who doesn't want to get spoiled. But like, if you talk, there are some people, if you talk during a movie theater, you are hurting them. Like, I got a headache from people talking. I've just learned that I have like auditory issues, which is bad, I know, but like it literally, you're causing people physical pain, so just shut the fuck up. literally.
And also stay off your goddamn phone, especially if you're in the front row. What the fuck's wrong with you? That shit's bright.
Oh yeah, that's why I sit in the front row, so I don't have to look at that stuff. Yeah, I've just realized, like, I've been sitting in the front row for like 3 years now, and I've not seen a single phone. Oh wait, that's right, I'm in the front row.
Yeah, me and Frank discovered that not necessarily the front row, but that row that, like, usually there's a separation between church and state where there's the higher rows and the lower rows, and we settled now at the like top of the lower rows, and it's actually a good experience.
Yeah.
So
I sit in the handicap section in the one free space that is not handicap required.
When I'm alone, I do that as well, and I already have tickets to go see. I'm gonna go see a wrestling pay-per-view in a movie theater, and that's exactly the seat I picked, so I could be totally spaced out and alone. Spoilers. This is your warning
Spoilers.
now. Talking about spoilers now.
It's flashing on the screen.
Yeah.
See my hands? It's flashing.
There you go. I'm gonna make sure to remember that. I'm gonna look at
Write it down.
Yeah, 20 minutes in. Okay.
Damn.
Kale, what do you want to spoil?
Oh my god. I kind of want to just start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Just
Let's go through it.
Go through it. Let's start at the beginning. Just the brilliant opening scene where Coleman Domingo as a child, spoilers. Coleman Domingo as a child goes down to do his laundry, and he becomes the laundryman.
Yes, he does become the laundryman.
like halfway through the movie, when they reintroduce him in the laundry room, I was like, oh, he became the laundryman because of the Candyman.
Yeah, I mean, that experience affected him greatly, clearly, because it leads into the rest of the film as well.
Yeah, so he's walking, and like this cop is like giving him these weird looks. He goes in to do the laundry. The light turns off right as he gets there, and he notices there's a hole in the wall behind him. Very weird. Goes to do his laundry, and you just hear this humming, this like deep tone humming, and it is the Candyman. The first version of the Candyman we see, he has a hook hand, like he's probably a veteran of a war, and probably has PTSD. That's why he actually it's revealed like there's a little short at the end that shows why he has candy, because he works at the candy factory. So he has all this extra candy and he gives it to kids, which I guess in the 70s was okay to do.
Well, I mean, it continues with the myth stuff, right? And these like urban legends, because he's convicted or accused of putting razor blades in the candy. Yeah. And the story details about his fate. So yeah, go ahead, continue if you want to continue.
Okay, yeah. So like that's why the police are in Cabrini Green, is because they're trying to find, his name is Sherman. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to arrest this guy named Sherman who gives out candy to children because they think a white kid got a razor blade in their candy. And so like, of course, Coleman Domingo gets very scared at this notion because his face is plastered everywhere. They're treating him as a bad guy.
Yeah.
So like, what else would you expect a 12-year-old to do other than scream? So he screams, and then these cops come rushing in, and then it cuts to modern day where it's a gay couple walking down the street, and it turns out to be the main character's brother-in-law, and and that's when we get the first telling of the story, or of the retelling of the original Candyman, which they say that this crazy woman tried to burn a child, and in the nick of time, the community of Cabrini Green saved the child from the fire, but then she kills herself in the fire. And so it starts, and just like that story implants the idea in, what was his name again?
Anthony.
The worst part about this whole thing is like, the worst part about any movie is like when I know the actors' names, I don't know the characters' names. I just call them by their actors' names.
So this is the part that I got spoiled from. It was revealed to me that his name is Anthony because in the original Candyman, the baby is baby Anthony. And so that's why when the reveal later comes in, I didn't feel it as much because I already knew. But if I did not know, it would have blew my mind because I totally would have forgot his name was Anthony and would have been like, oh my God, you're the baby that was, subjected to this awful thing, which by the way, everything they say in the movie is true. Like a lot of that happens. I love the subversion though of the story being told by the brother, how it's the white woman, trying to sacrifice the baby, which is actually the opposite. She was trying to save him. Candyman was actually going to burn all three of them. And then the actual community saves her, actually like pulls her out of the fire with the baby because she presents the baby back, which they explain later in the film. That's what ended up happening. But it's so interesting how the generation now is removed of like the people that live there see her as a savior versus the people that hear the story, which is the subversion of Candyman, is that, it's now a totally different story. Yeah.
And it goes into the, because what's easier to believe is that some white woman got possessed, stole a baby, and tried to sacrifice him to this mythical creature, or the mythical creature actually fucking exists in the mirror world. Like, what's easier for our minds to rationalize? So yeah, so he finds all that out, and then he goes on to this, like, because he's Anthony is just this, he's an artist who's uninspired at the moment. Like, he doesn't know what to draw, and like he literally repaints an old painting that he hates and tries to present it off to the asshole art dealer who preys on young interns.
Yeah.
Like to spoil it a little bit down the road, there's a part where like the intern's like he's like Anthony says something about condoms, and like the intern's just like, I have the Nuva ring, and I just laughed so fucking hard.
That was a great joke. That was a great joke. My favorite joke, it's the favorite joke of the whole film. She says, love will tear us apart. And he's like, I fucking get it. You're a Joy Division fan because she's wearing a Joy Division shirt. It's like, this is the funniest joke. Love it. I'm so glad they had that included in the film.
Yeah, I'm so glad there's a little bit of levity in these things and stuff, but so
for sure.
And then also Teyonah Parris, Brianna Cartwright is her name.
Mm-hmm.
She is the boyfriend or the girlfriend of Anthony, and so she bought a house, and she's a curator, an art curator, working for the scumbag guy. And so she lets Anthony have a little section at this upcoming art gallery. And so when he figures out he wants to paint Candyman, or like he wants to delve more into Candyman, he goes to Caprini Green, or he looks it up on the internet first.
Yeah, like you do.
Yeah, like you do. And he finds all these things, and then like he goes to take photos of things, and he goes to this church that in the photo he finds of the article has this beautiful mural painted on it, but somebody painted over it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like, so he goes around to take pictures, and this is when stung by a giant ass fucking bee, which is very important, because not only is it a part of Candyman, but like it trickles down throughout the movie, the effects of this bee sting.
That's the part I was talking about, where I'm like, okay, you got the bee sting. I got sting before. I don't go to the hospital. All right. But once your hand starts looking like the Fly, you gotta go. He waits way too long, to the point where he's now picking it out. Like,
I get being hyper focused on a thing and like not realizing things are happening, but like if it's spread to your wrist, like you gotta go talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
And even when he does talk to a doctor, they just don't give a shit.
No, he's like, oh, they're patching it up. It's like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
They put a Band-Aid on it, and they're just like, you're good.
Yeah. I feel really connected to this neighborhood. Cabrini Green. It was the projects. I just moved in around the corner.
The old candy factory.
I'm an artist.
You looking for Candyman. He's the monster that's part of this neighborhood.
Why are you drawn to this?
I'm hoping to spread the story all about Candyman. The mirror invites you to summon him. You should say his name. I dare you.
Candyman. Candyman.
Candyman.
Candyman.
Yeah.
So after he sees all this stuff, he goes out and he meets Coleman Domingo, who is like, I describe this dude as like my safety blanket actor, because like at the moment he's on screen, we're in for a great fucking time. Like,
yes.
Did you see Without Remorse?
Yes, I did, actually.
Okay. The best scene in that movie is when Coleman Domingo is forced to give exposition about this character that we know nothing about. And it's like, it's one of the best like scenes in that whole movie, and like, because the rest is just mediocre Tom Clancy shit.
Yeah.
But like, I was just like when I watched that movie, I was like, oh my God, I love this dude. But yeah, he's like, his voice is magic. His voice is fucking magic. Like,
it's great that he tells the story too.
Yeah, like he tells the story, it's magic, and then like the transformation he goes to at the end is just, oh, it's so fucking great. But so yeah, he meets him, and like he meets Coleman Domingo. What is it? William Burke's laundry.
Yeah.
So he takes him back to his laundromat and tells him the story of the first Candyman and how he was. That's when they reveal that he is the child from the beginning, and like he witnessed this man get beat to death. And then that's when we find out that he was not responsible for razor blades in the candy, because 2 weeks later, another kid finds a razor blade in a candy. And so it builds this mythos of like all these tragic things that have happened. Like, and which goes into like just perfectly like this cycle keeps on happening. Like just
the biggest villain in this movie is the Chicago Police Department.
Yeah.
In my opinion. There is a line that he says, which he's retelling the story to Anthony, and he says, "I hear the swarm," which you equate to the bees, but he's actually talking about the Chicago PD, because you see the blue lights coming through, through the stuff, and I'm just like, that is such a terrifying sentiment to think about, like, especially like the police, which are supposed to be our people that we respect and save us and, are there to protect us. And when you refer to them as a swarm, a thing to be afraid of, it's brutal. Even, as me, who's someone who doesn't suffer through that, I felt it still, and felt it's the same way that in the way that I think if you're watching Get Out, and you get to the very end of Get Out and you see the police lights, it's that same feeling. And I think that is the probably closest to how you could ever feel that way. I mean, you're not going to feel it on a daily basis, but when you watch a film and you watch it disseminated that way, that's how you're like, this is the closest how you're going to feel how black people feel about a certain problem. And that happens multiple times in this film, especially the end. The end, I'm like, and I have family that are Chicago police officers, and I love them dearly, but I'm still scared scared shitless.
I mean, I mean, it was just designed, like, the police is just designed as a system of oppression towards all people. Like, I mean, to basically lower income people, like, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that they're also the whole gentrification thing of like the reason why they are even giving them these low income, so they knew that they would hopefully foster this sort of criminal mentality, which would lower the prices of the area, and they would wipe them all out, kick them all out, and then build big high rises.
Yeah, just plummet the property value, buy it up cheap, and then you can sell it to development companies in 20 years and make billions.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
and this is definitely the part of the movie where it goes, to me, it goes out there with the idea when it goes where whole William Burke's whole plan is to create the next Candyman, which allows them to stop the gentrification of the area, because if the killing is still there, they most likely would stop. That's like his whole point, is to stop them from doing any more development within that area, which is both fucked up and like crazy.
I mean, it's fucking nuts. Just the logic, like, and I mean, but he has the background knowledge that the Candyman wants this child, which is the only thing in his favor.
Like he knew the child would return.
Yeah. So we get to that, and then I think later Anthony goes in and starts painting stuff, and we start seeing he shows Brianna his first painting that he made after the interview.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the gallery, which is funny because like the gallery shows up and you just see a mirror, and like it's like there's a whole written piece about like I have not been to an art gallery ever in my life, apparently, because I did not know that there's pamphlets and stuff like like the artists actually explain what you're supposed to experience. But
yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. I didn't think that would be the case either.
Yeah. But that was like, because they like put the mirror thing prominent. I was like, that's weird. Is like his whole art piece just a mirror now? Like, how did this devolve into this? But yeah, and then eventually it shows that like, no, behind it is all the faces and horror of Candyman and Cabrini Green. And then and then you're invited to say his name 5 times.
Well, yeah, he begins the myth over, right? He's sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways, this is what is the last Freddy's Dead, where Freddy has run out of children, and so he has to like have a guy go to another town to have him say his name so that way he can come back in power. Or even Freddy versus Jason, right? It's the same thing. He's having Jason to go out to invoke Freddy so that way he can have more power again. Like, it's very much that. Like, it starts the cycle over again where the Candyman, as far as they know, after that day that he burned in the original film, they swore never to say his name ever again. And then
they made a pact never to bring him back and like to let the mythos die there, because no, everybody who knew about him was at that bonfire apparently.
Yes.
Which I mean, and it's proven that true throughout the process of this movie. But yeah, so like, and then by Burke telling him, he knows that he's gonna, because he's searching for it. He knows that this is gonna.
He's invoking that information so that way he could say it later. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then we get to the first appearance of Candyman, which is after Anthony has this big old fight and like everyone just like does not understand the point.
Top tipsy drunk and just like has this biggest fit. He's oh my god. Whatever he says leaving the door made me laugh so hard. I have to rewatch that scene again.
Oh yeah, he's like
it's so fucking funny.
It is like it's the condom thing. And then he says, "Bitch."
Yeah, bitch. As he goes,
he walks out.
Good.
And before that, it was fucking amazing. He was talking to the art critic.
Yes.
Who, like, in one of the most white privileged things ever, just pulls out the "you people," and just is like, "What the fuck?" And Anthony's, "What the fuck do you mean by that?" She's like, "Artists. Artists are the reason why gentrification happens," and it's just like. Oh yeah, it's definitely not the people who are expressing themselves and not the coming from someone who criticizes self-expression, like in this beautiful like thing. And then we'll get to her change of face later, but like, yeah. So just bringing out the, you people, like racist thing where it's just like clearly we all know what she meant, but like because of
having the nice spin on
people
it.
There before.
No, having the nice spin on it, like I think is really the way they do it. I think is really good.
Yeah, but yeah. So then he has that freak. And then there's the. Have you seen the show Hacks?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I do want to though.
Okay, the dude that, like, so there's a dude from Hacks who's another tall black guy who like starts making fun of him, and that's what sets him off, and he gets angry and just starts yelling at people, start yelling at people, and then he goes like, maybe wear a condom when you fuck your intern or something. And she's like, bitch, and then she's like, I have the Nuva ring.
It's good.
She's so like, I don't care.
Oh, it's so good, so good.
So, yeah. So then they all file out, and like it's just the intern and the guy who runs the gallery is left, and like. They're about to have sex, but then she says Candyman 5 times in the mirror. And this
is her first kill of the movie, if I'm not mistaken. This is the first stuff.
This is the first Candyman kill, not the first death.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and this is the best part because he's just like making out and kissing her neck, and then Candyman comes up, and you don't see him because he's in the Mirror universe. Mm-hmm. He's there with Dr. Mirror. What is that? The Flash villain, Dr. Mirror.
Yeah, Mirror Master.
Yeah. Mirror Master, yes. Yeah. So he's in that dimension with him. And so he comes up and slits the girl's throat, and the dude's just like kissing her and stuff. And then he's eventually like, what is this, a joke? And then it goes into this great sequence where he can see Candyman in like a reflection, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on? And then he sees him drag his hook across a projector screen, and then it rips wide open, but in reality you can't see it. And then it goes into this cool scene where the dude's just floating around because he's being hooked by his leg, and then eventually he gets gutted.
Yeah, he gets real fucking gutted
from the carnage. Yeah. So, and then the next day, Brianna goes into the office. Doesn't smell it apparently.
Yeah, it does not smell it.
Yeah, because
that's Chicago for office. You. They probably had it on the South Side, Chicago, because they need to save some money. So they had it on the South Side, right next to where we have is a lot of cattle stuff. where they make meat and stuff like that. So that's probably what it smells. It smells like burnt bacon, but really it's like crispy blood.
Crispy blood. Yeah, so she like just the classic horror cliche where it's like, oh, I'm off doing a normal thing, and then eventually comes upon it.
Yeah,
and
I think it cuts like to a news thing, right? like.
Yeah, is it?
Because she doesn't. She like sees the body, but immediately cuts to like something else with that.
Yeah, it's like Anthony sees it and then he gets a fucking erection because
yeah, he does.
showed up.
He's so fucking happy about it.
Yeah,
it's
like,
just so
it happened.
weird.
Candyman showed up. I mean, it's bad, but it's awesome.
Like, this is great for me.
Yeah. Oh
God.
yeah. And so meanwhile, his hand wound is getting better, and he's painting while making funny faces.
Yeah, he's like super into it.
Yeah. Oh, crap. Now I'm like, since I saw it so long ago, my brain is not remembering it properly. Does he go to the campus next to do more research, or?
That I think. No, hold on. Wasn't it? Didn't he go to Cabrini? I'm trying to remember. I think no. He talks to the guy first, right? There's a part where yes, he goes to the campus, which is I believe is a real school here, and he finds the tape from the original woman from the film, which I forgot the name of. Leslie Mann, that's her name. That's the actress's name. And listens to, actually, she comes back for the movie to record these lines, which is awesome because you saw in the credits that's her name. So I was like, that's cool that they were able to add more context, which in the movie she was recording on a tape recorder. So it's fun the fact that he's using that to hear more about the stories and hear some of the context within the stories. So I found that really cool. And this is really like one of the first major scares for him, if I'm not mistaken, in the elevator, which this is a little side note. They actually had a thing here in Chicago where it was like an experience where you line up, you go in this box, and this box was just filled with mirrors, and you say his name 5 times, and they had an actor behind the mirror that was dressed up as Sherman.
Oh,
so
nice. One of those things.
It's one of those things. Dead Meat did another video where he did an interview with both Yaya, and he also showed that experience, which was really cool. Ooh. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't go. I was terrified.
I would not have gone.
No, not at all. But so basically, he gets his first major scare of the Candyman, like actual scare. I think in the scene, of course, obviously, I do love that when the door opens, just a bunch of white students. Just like freaking out. I will say, I think
just runs away.
What I loved, the little detail about this movie is that majority of the people that were killed by the Candyman were all white people acting stupid.
I don't think any black people were.
Just killed. In a flashback, with William Burke tells the story about his sister.
Shoot! I forgot about that. Yeah.
She's the only person like officially killed of color by Candyman. No. But every other person's a white person. Well, I take that back. There's the Asian girl and one of the girls in the sorority.
In the high school.
But obviously just a clicky bullshit, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's like I think the assumption was that's like a private school or like people paid to be there. Like you had to pay. It's more exclusive, so it's more gentrification of education, and of course they pick on the black kid.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. But he gets into this, oh my God, this elevator full of mirrors, looks up, and Sherman's just looking down at him, throwing candy at him.
Throwing candy on the floor.
And so, and he cuts his finger open, and then apparently that wasn't real. That was his imagination. So he goes and does that, and then I
think he has dinner, right? Is it the same day he has like...
Yeah. Well, no, so he...
Oh, he goes meets the art critic.
So his girlfriend's like, I'm having dinner tonight. This is important because since the art gallery director is dead, like the regional manager of art director galleries or whatever the fuck he is, invites her to dinner and wants to like help her out finding another job with someone who works at an art museum.
Yes.
But basically that, and then he's like, okay, well, I got to do this thing first, which is he goes to meet the art critic who suddenly changes her tune.
Yeah. By the way, that shot of him walking across the Dearborn Bridge, I've walked across that bridge. It has never been pictured beautifully in the way that they did it and the shallow depth of field. Like, it looks gorgeous. And I've walked down that bridge. It is not that cool looking. but it's cool. It's cool in the film.
Oh dang. I liked how it just said Dearborn on it, and I was like, this ain't Michigan.
And I love the building that the art credit lives in too, because that's actually a very, very specific building in Chicago that is spirally and has the lower area of it is cars. So you just see a bunch of cars lined up in this like cylinder. There's two of them next to each other. It's a really unique building. So I'm kind of happy that they had a scene in that building specifically.
Yeah. If I ever go out there, I'll have to.
I'll tell you the building. Like
spots.
it's the one weirdest building like in the middle of the lake. Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, like just the spiral building he goes in, and like it's revealed it's the art critic, and then she's like, well, I'm doing this whole thing about the murders, and like she changes her tune about how like, oh no, it is so lovely, and then and then just like okay, and then he just lays it out. He's like, you said that artists are responsible for gentrification, but those are the people who come in there because they it's cheap and the rent is cheaper and they can do what they want to do and be themselves, which again another jab at her for being a critic.
Yeah,
which I like that, and like the entirety of Birdman is like my favorite for just fucking shitting on critics. I love it so much, even though what are we doing right now?
I know, right? Honestly, we're not critiquing this movie that hard.
No, not critiquing it. Just what our experiences is. Which
no, of course.
Should be more what a critique is instead of, just being like, it's not Citizen Kane, so therefore it's shit.
That's right.
Just holding it to this 1930s standard of impossibility. But yeah, so and then just like turns it around, like turns around the whole conversation. She's like, say his name. Go in the mirror right now and say his name. And she's like, I have to pee. And so she goes, and we don't see what happens, but then like Anthony gets like, he's like, man, she's been in there a long time. Maybe she got murdered. So he goes to find her, and then turns the corner and finds a mirror, and staring back is Sherman. Yeah. Like with the bloody face, and like is copying his movements, and then sort of foreshadowing that he is becoming Candyman. Spoilers. Which I think I like whispered in my head to myself when that was happening. I was like, spoilers, he's going to become Candyman. He's copying the moves, and all these bees are trying to the noise that the bees make as they're hitting glass is just brilliant, and it's just like they're on the other side of the mirror.
Oh yeah,
the whole time. It's beautiful.
That's a new thing that they did to the movie. That's really cool. That idea of it being behind the mirror. This is also the part of the movie where it was interesting how much they kept invoking the first film, but we were seeing a different Candyman at this point, and it wasn't me putting it together. Obviously, you hear more of it later. You hear about Sherman first in the first info dump that you get from William, and then you hear more later, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's multiple Candymen, and that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, it always involves someone black dying, and a hook is usually involved. Like,
usually a hook. Usually it is a atrocity towards a black person, and it perpetuates
like
a cycle.
People being wrongfully accused of a crime. Like,
I'm going to tell you, I cried during the credits, and when we get there, I'll tell you why.
Yeah. Well,
there's
one. I think I know.
Yeah. There's one specific detail that they add. I'm like,
I was just about to forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he has this weird experience, and then the critic breaks him out of it. And my favorite part of this is like, she's like, "Are you okay?" And you can just see in the mirror behind her, Sherman just sort of goes back behind the door. I was like, this is awesome. It was a little too like in your face. I kind of wanted it to be a bit more subtle, but still, I was just like, oh, that's awesome, because your eye kind of catches it right away. But yeah, so she's like, at some point I think she says something to him, and he's like, oh, I gotta fucking leave, and he runs away.
Yeah.
And just like, she's like, oh, this is weird, and then it just slowly zooms out of her in her apartment, and then the Candyman is killing her and just rubbing her against the window, and it's so brilliant. And then you can just the same fucking football game is on every TV.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, they got one football game.
Yeah.
I mean, then seeing it's a $25 million movie. Okay, yeah. It's one football game.
There you go.
Yeah, so they're just, it's pulling out slowly, and then it cuts to this dinner where he's already there. He doesn't show up. Like, and that's when the regional manager is just like, oh, let me introduce you to the curator of this Chicago Art Museum. Like, maybe you guys should work together. And then she's like, oh no, I want to go out on my own. And then, yeah. And then that's like, at the end of their conversation, it's found out that the art critic died, and like they're like, oh, the suspect is the husband. Which is like, it's always the husband. But yeah, so and then he freaks out and
I wonder, I would do
runs away.
real quick. I wonder if that is a reference to the first movie, because it immediately, so basically the Candyman like teleports her into a room where there's a dead dog, where he clearly cut the head off of the dog, and she's accused of stealing a baby. Immediately she's the criminal. So I wonder if it's like just a joke on that. I don't know. It just seemed funny. Like, it was the husband. It's like,
oh yeah, that was to go rewind all the way back to the beginning when the brother is telling the story, and like it's like she cut off a dog's head, and it was like, a fucking dog's head. What? Like, that's sick.
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
It's one of the most fucked up things in that film.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, maybe it was because yeah, but yeah, well, and I guess they didn't have a suspect for the gallery one.
No, they didn't at that point.
Yeah, but yeah, well, then they have their suspect later on. So yeah, like that dinner scene is just like, and it's just like, it's, oh my god, it's so fun. It's so funny to me because it's just like the actual artist guy who's going through a lot of stuff and like figuring stuff out, and everyone's just like, yeah, maybe you should like, move to New York or something. And it's just like, is fucking Anthony gonna move to New York with this, or like all this other stuff? But like, yeah, so it cuts to that, and then he runs away, and then him and Brianna have a massive fight, and she leaves him.
Yeah.
And at this point,
yeah,
his whole arm is finally just all it's like a fucking raisin. He got raisin arm. Yeah, and so like, yeah, and that's when it's sort of like when Anthony reveals like it's all my fault, like we invoked Candyman and Candyman killed these people, and she's like, oh yeah, whatever. And like he freaks out and starts breaking all the mirrors because she's trying to summon him.
Yeah, that's right. I remember he paints, actually, if I'm not mistaken, like all the other Candymen at some point.
Yeah,
right,
including the original one.
Including the original
like
one.
It, yeah, I think it's all the.
He gets inspired like heavily after the first
yeah.
killing, and then I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like all their faces like half burnt and like decaying and stuff. So
yeah, it looks sick.
I think it goes from like it goes from Sherman to like, and then all the other ones you'll like later on we see in the silhouettes, but then ending on whatever his actual name is.
Robotow, I believe is the name.
Yeah, Robotow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is
or Tony Todd for people. But
yeah, Tony Todd. It's clearly his face, like, if like, even though I have not seen Candyman, like I know Tony Todd's face.
Oh yeah, I've seen enough Final Destination films.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I get him confused with the other guy who the guy from 300 who's the messenger.
Yeah, okay.
Or wait, is he not? Is he not that guy?
Wait, hold on.
Now we gotta look. This is the quick IMDb break.
Okay. Wait for 300.
He's got so much shit that he's done.
Yeah.
Like just the past 2 years. That came out in 07. Is not him. No, I don't think it's him because it's
No, he had to be he's an old man. He's an old man. He's also in The Crow. He's one of the lackeys in The Crow.
Ooh.
Which is a fantastic.
Brandon Lee's final movie.
Yes. He's he's the voice of Zoom on the Flash TV show. Yeah, he's the voice.
Zoom was the
Jay Garrett guy.
Yeah,
spoilers for the Flash. But the voice was Zoom.
For the Flash, the other guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was also on 24. Yeah, as General Benjamin Juma. I'm looking at it right now. I love that the times of the episodes are day 7, and it's like 8 o'clock between 9 o'clock. Like those are the titles of the episodes. Anyways,
the season is just the day, and then there's 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, he draws that, and like and like the dude fucking falls asleep in his. He falls asleep on the broken mirrors, and that's when he finally goes to the hospital.
Yeah. 'Cause- oh God, that's so brutal. He finally goes to the
Yeah.
hospital. He learns that he is what? He was born there, actually.
Yeah, he was not born on the south side like his
Yeah.
mother had previously told him.
Not
He
born in
was
Bronzeville.
Born at a hospital. Yeah, born in a. Sorry, I have not had much sleep. Yeah, he was not. He was born at the Cabrini Green, whatever hospital.
Yeah, whatever is River North now, that's where he
Yeah.
was. Which is a huge clue because then the whole movie also we forgot to mention he's been avoiding his mom for some reason.
Yeah, like he like right away the first night he's like, his girlfriend's like, "Don't forget you have dinner with your mom," and then like the next day like, "You didn't go to dinner with your mom. You gotta go see her tonight." And just like,
Yeah,
and then the third night is the previous night with that dinner. So then he's like, I can't believe my mom lied to me about where I was born. So she goes and we have the conversation, which is this really,
God, so good.
it's so brilliant and like
When she
just like
stops
this-
him, so good.
Yes.
Oh my God, and we were talking about this beforehand. Same actress from the original film. She was a very young person. Now that I remember in that movie, so it makes sense for her to be here. But she does not look like she's aged a day, and that film was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Almost
insane.
it's as old as I am. Almost. But yeah, so like he goes and has this conversation with her mom and she explains that he is the baby from the story. And actually the story is not that the lady tried to sacrifice him to Candyman. Candyman stole him as a baby,
Yeah,
and then tried to sacrifice him, and she saved him, and then she died in the process.
yes. Became her own Candyman
So-
at the end of that film, by the way, which I was hoping would come back. I was hoping they would just say her name 5 times, and then she would appear. But I don't know. That would have been too much, I guess.
Oh,
We don't need a white savior in this
Yeah,
film.
definitely.
White savior ghost.
oh, please don't,
Yeah.
please don't. Never mind. That's a text conversation I literally just had with a friend. That because I'm talking about Candyman. Shut the fuck up, Siri. Like that because we're having this. I'm going to become the white savior and cure racism. This is the stupid jokes I have with my white friends because we're so ashamed. But yeah. Anyways, yeah. So like he has this like just this great conversation like this, and I think it's only like 2 shots through the whole thing, but like it's so fucking great and like just like and we get the backstory we were craving, and then
I think he goes back
this
and
is-
goes to what's his face again, Burke, right?
yeah,
Did
he goes to Burke after this. I don't think it happened before. He goes to Burke.
Yeah.
And that's when we find the origin of the first Candyman. And he says, there's always a Candyman throughout history.
Yes.
Wherever there's violence and oppression, there's a Candyman. And especially this spot is what is like, it won't let them die.
Yeah.
So he finds that out. And then,
I think we're following the girlfriend from here on in, right?
yeah, because she comes back to the apartment and is just like,
Which, by the way,
it's like, hey,
let's talk about the brother for a second. The brother, I love him because actually he's an actor he's a British actor. He was in the show Misfits. If you ever watched the show Misfits,
oh, yeah.
he's a time traveler.
Yeah, the guy from Umbrella Academy.
Yes,
The super gay one.
Yes, he's also a fantastic actor. Very Val Kilmer.
I love him.
Love him so
I love
much.
him so much. And
He's so good.
I think I've
He's
only seen it.
fantastic on that show.
Oh, actually, he was in what was it? He was in like an episode of True Detective.
Oh, really? Damn, I gotta watch that. I gotta watch season 2
I
and
think that
3.
was. I think that was him. It was season 1. So
He was in season 1? No way.
I think so. I don't like. I mean, and then he was in that Peter Jackson
He
Abomination.
was. Yeah.
That was not directed by Peter Jackson. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, like the brother, just from moment 1 is just like, why do you guys have such shitty wine at the beginning? And then it's just like, my favorite part of the whole thing is like, Anthony just keeps asking like, "You want Moscato?" And I was like, "Isn't Moscato like a sweet dessert wine?" And then he finally says like, "Moscato is a dessert wine." like, bitch, even I know that. But yeah, so yeah, just the sassy, like they walk in, and he's just like, "We're coming to get her stuff. Do not come down." Like, and
Anthony.
then yeah.
So good, and it goes on for a while too, which I loved, until finally it cuts to them like talking.
Oh yeah, and then like, I think well, Anthony's at the hospital. Brianna's with her brother and his boyfriend, and they're smoking weed.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, they're just like, we're just doing drugs, and then just like, at one point, the boyfriend's like, "You're in a timeout. You're gonna smoke the rest of this." He says to Brianna, "You're gonna smoke the rest of this." And I was like, "Oh man, he's in a timeout. That's unfortunate." But yeah, so then she, actually gets worried, and is just like, starts calling around, and like nobody knows where he is. And then she gets the
pen,
she
right?
finds the pen from the laundromat. So she goes and visits the laundromat, and like goes into the back room, which is like, I worked in a dry cleaners. But like, if you've ever gone to like laundromats that have dry cleaners in the back, like that was very typical. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of shit I recognize from that, but that gave me PTSD. But
do they have a doorway that goes to hell? Because I love it. Love the scene. She goes in the back office, opens this other door that she finds, and it's just dark and scary. And she's like, nope, and closes the door and goes away.
Yeah,
so wonderful.
Gets locked in, and then Burke.
Yeah.
Knocks her out. And
I almost want to say William Birkin from Resident Evil, but
oh yeah,
yeah,
William Birkin. Which, by the way, do you see those photos?
Listen, I am a defender of those photos because one just looks like a still that they released for no reason. I don't know why they just had two people standing in a basement. It looks weird.
I'm the only thing I just don't like about it is Leon's hair is too curly. That's my only complaint.
That's fine. I can see that.
Yeah.
But someone's like, "Oh,
That's
why is
my
it black?" I'm
complaint.
like, "Well, it's because he's not a blonde white guy." I don't know.
No, I'm not fine. I'm fine with whatever the
No.
ethnicity
I
is.
know.
I was just like, I want straighter hair. Sorry.
No,
sorry that I'm a purist.
That's
and I want
fine.
straighter hair.
That's
like
fine.
it's just I don't know. That was just the one thing that like irked me. I was like, but he had such beautiful straight hair, and like it's a little bit too long, but whatever. It's like we'll wait for the trailer for that. Anyways, back to Candyman. So yeah, Brianna wakes up in a church, and
Yeah. This part's fucked up.
fucking Anthony is staring at the mural on the wall.
Yeah.
And I just like with his shirt off, I was like, oh man, this is some weird shit. And like,
And he's like honeycombed now.
He's
reached his face.
a beehive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his eye is like it's all milked over. And then we get this great turn from Coleman Domingo where it's like he sort of pops up as the villain or the mastermind of the whole thing, and he just is going crazy, and his lips are moving in different directions, and he's like, the ceremony it's always the same, or like the ceremony can differ, but there's always elements that are the same. So he pulls out a hook from a suitcase that he has underneath, and he starts sawing off Anthony's arm, the gucky arm, the gross arm, at least, which was, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
I mean, he would have lost it anyways.
Yeah, he definitely would have lost it.
Yeah. But yeah, so he saws it off, and it's just like, oh my God, the shots of that where he finally stops it when he gets through the last bone and just peels it off, and you can just see the strings and stuff. Like, oh my God, so cool. As someone who is weird, I love it. But yeah, so talking about how people, like, he's just giving this whole speech about how people have forgotten and they need to learn again. And so, or actually before he gets into that, he calls the cops and says, he's like, there's a man in Capri Green with a hook for a hand. I think he's the one who killed all those people. So yeah, so this happens, and then she eventually starts to run away. And and did she? So she has a box cutter later on.
No, I think it's the pen. If I'm not mistaken, does she use the pen?
When she's stabbing him, it looked like a box cutter. But I thought she used the pen to escape. Yeah.
I think the pen. I think it's the same. I think it's a pen because I think she escapes with the pen, and then as she's running, she still has the pen, and then he gets up behind her. Somehow she gets on top, and she just stabs him in the eye with the pen and murders him.
Yeah, goes to town. Like, I mean, as something, like you just watch someone saw your boyfriend's arm off and put a hook on it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is a rational response.
It was both like I did not see it coming of her just murdering him like in the way that he was, like not seeing him end that way. Like when you see movies like this, right? Your expectation is, well, the guy is doing the thing to make the thing happen, but from his own hubris is going to get killed by the thing, right? Usually he gets killed by the Candyman, right? But the fact that she is the one that stabs him to death is crazy. And I love the next shot coming up, obviously, is she goes into one of the houses and Yaya is there, or Anthony's there.
Yeah. Well, so after she stabs him, she gets up and then oh, fucking Anthony shows at the door. He's like, I think he's dead.
Yes, I think he's dead. Oh, that's right. They end up in a house. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they go through. There's like a tunnel to there, and they end up in a house. And after the stabbing, he says that, and then he collapses like on top of her because that wound did not get closed up right. So of course he
lost a lot of blood.
Pass out. Yeah, so he passes out, and then that's when the cops show up finally.
But let me set up the scene because this is crazy, right?
Yes, do that.
The scene here is the man's dead, right? She's at the wall. She's holding him. She's holding the guy that is the killer, right? The guy that they're right. He is down. His hands are out. He's not. His weapon is obviously this, but he is out on the floor. The first fucking thing that these cops do is they bust in and they fucking kill Anthony. And it's fucking...
they shoot him a couple times.
It's fucking heartbreaking. He's clearly wounded, hurt, on the ground.
Yeah.
And just totally like... They arrest her. Put her in the back of the thing. And then you get that one fucking skeezy cop. I've seen that actor in a bunch of things too. And I'm trying to remember who he is. But you get that one skeezy son of a bitch. I'm gonna find out his face if I can find him on IMDb really fast. But she basically is like, hey, listen, we could tell, our version of the story, or you can tell your version of the story. But see how that ends up for you, And it's fucking terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Like basically it's just like he lays it out and it's just like you can either tell the story that we said where he was trying to come at you and kill you and we responded with equal force, or you can tell the version that you think happened where we gunned down an innocent man and you can be his accomplice in all these murders and go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Which is just like, and that's like this complacence where it's just like in this day and age where it's just like you want to fight that, but and this is like there's like some thread on Facebook that I read recently where some guy was like talking about how like this cop gave me a bullshit ticket and like it's just his word against mine and I'm gonna win, and it's just like no. Anytime that a cop writes you a ticket, the court is going to side with him because they trust cops more than they do ordinary citizens. Like unless you had empirical evidence that could overturn it, like if it's your word against his, they're going to side with the cop. So like just like that notion of even living in everyday society, it's just like no, that like the court is there to back, or the cop is there to back, or the court is there to back up the cop. Like so like you could spend jail time, or you could be on our side and say this happened and we all go home free at the end of the night.
It's fucked up. But then of course before she answers, she's like, can I see myself in the mirror?
Yep.
He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, let me see myself in the mirror and I'll tell you exactly what you want me to say. And then she just goes, Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. And, the next scene happens, and it's, to me, wonderful. And I gotta watch it again because I want to see if this, because you see as Candyman shows up, immediately just starts offing officers, and immediately I'm like, okay, that's Yaya, right? But is it also Sherman?
Yeah, it is.
Is it all of them?
No, it's yeah. It's just him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, they give that close up of him like right next to the window, slitting a dude's throat.
Yeah.
And then I think like, so he kills all the officers, and as he's disappears, like all the bees surround him, and he goes around the corner, and then like the detective goes to chase him. And so like, and then he kills him, and that's when he's like fully enveloped with bees.
Yeah.
And like she sees him, and then it comes out to be Tony
Todd.
whatever. Tony Todd, sorry. Yeah, he turns into Tony Todd, a DHCGI
Tony Todd, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, tell everyone. And like, you just like the look on her face is like, I'm going to tell everyone I know. Like,
Yes.
It's just like, yeah. And then just sort of like it's, oh man, it's just such a good ending because like the guy who orchestrated it, like he got exactly what he wanted. Like he wanted the legend to continue, and and he sort of sets him up to be sort of like an avenger of Caprini Green.
In a
is
way,
what it seems like he's going for.
Yeah, he because he if you remember, there's the establishing shot of his laundromat, and on the left side and on the right side they're newer businesses. He's like the last standout there, and I think is probably the last standout in all of Caprini Green for the most part. You do see some other people, but it's so interesting that he gets what he wants, yes. But I think what's heartbreaking is that the cycle just could not break. Like, I think, this is me theorizing, if the cops came in and they didn't shoot right away, I think there's a high possibility that Anthony possibly wouldn't have turned into the Candyman, obviously. I think possibly the curse might have been broken in a way. Like, I think that his, facial scars might have... I mean, his hand is fucked because it was cut off.
Yeah.
But I think it's possible that, maybe his facial scars would actually disappear. And because that only happens because it's obviously leading to a certain point. But if that cycle is ever actually finally broken, which I'm very curious if that would have, saved him. But the fact that, the cycle does not fucking end. And that's why this happens.
Yeah.
And, movie ends. And this is the part where I cried. Okay. Mm-hmm. You get to the credits, right? There's no cutscene except for there's more animations that sort of illustrate, which they released throughout the last 2 years, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I have to see if they have this one, but they show the Sherman one, right? They show the Robital one, but the one in the middle fucking made me cry. It's because it's clearly Emmett Till.
Yeah.
And the idea of that thing being another perpetuation of this thing and being a part of it's a real event. It's fucked up. Read up if you don't know about it. But
it was also featured in Lovecraft Country,
which I think these are the two movies that the two things that I've seen of it that I've done exceptionally well with telling that story, incorporating it into a horror. Because it's fucking horrific. And the way that they tell the story and how it connects with all the rest of the Candyman, I just think is interesting. I did want to tell a quick story. I live in Bridgeport, in Chicago. It's a south side suburb. Right before, there's Chinatown, and then right across from it's Pilsen, which is heavily Hispanic. Then there's Bridgeport, which heavily is Italian and white people. And then Canaryville, and then it goes deeper south. In this area, there was, and I remember this, and I remember it in the context of this film, of this myth, of this story that I heard, of this kid who entered our neighborhood and was chased down by folks and was beaten to death, or beaten, brain dead. And after watching this movie, I went to go back to see if that story was true, and it is true. It is a real crime that happened where a African American kid, I think he was 12 years old, was in our neighborhood, and a bunch of Italians just took it upon themselves to beat him up for no reason, just because he walked inside their neighborhood. And that, to me, hearing that story as a kid, as how they perpetuate the story, how it going forward, really spoke to me, especially about towards this film and the realities of that. But yeah, that fucked me up seeing Emmett Till being represented in that way.
Yeah, I remember just like sitting there, and that was like when I was like, I know that this is like I love what they're doing with this. I was like, when I saw the kid thing, I was like, I gotta leave. I can't stay in this theater.
Yeah.
And witness that like maybe down the line because I'm gonna buy this movie on when
all
it comes
the
out
formats.
digital,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'll watch them, but just like sitting in the theater, like after experience that whole thing for the first time, I was like, I can't like stay for the entirety of all these things. And I don't I stayed for a few seconds after that. I think I got through all of it. I'm not sure, but
yeah. The best shot, of course, is all of them standing in line together as one person, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, I think I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but like, yeah, just sort of like, yeah, just like right now the world still needs like a Candyman, because unfortunately this is still happening. These violent atrocities and like scars upon the land of that have so much history of violence. Like it's happening again and again. And like, of course, me living in Colorado, thankfully, like being so close to the Elijah McClain thing, and finally them like actually indicting people for once.
Yeah.
Like after that, like that super tragic, like another just a 19-year-old kid walking home who unfortunately had autism and like stuff like that. Like we're still like, we're at least correcting where the cycles should start to end. Like, I mean, we're not totally there where it's still gonna keep happening, unfortunately, but
yeah.
Like, and then, you know, like especially this movie came out last year when it was supposed to, like,
fuck,
speaking on all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. If it actually did come out last year, it would be tough. It would have definitely been tough.
Yeah. Yeah. But like that message, and then sort of like also the message of gentrification, where it's just like we're like all these all the oppressors died. Oh, we skipped completely over the high school scene, which we did mention earlier.
I jumped into it. Yeah. There was a lady at the art museum. I'm sorry, at the art show
Gallery.
Gallery show, and she was a kid. It was weird because I didn't understand what that was connecting to until later, which in itself is a one-off, like, off story from the main plot, which is interesting, weird. But I love the idea that it perpetuates and keeps going. And I almost want the sequel to go in that direction of like meme culture, where it's like, this is easily a story where, you know, like creepypasta and stuff like that clearly could, you know, expand upon that.
Yeah, like it's definitely a cryptid type story where it's just like you could see in a universe where it's just like you say this in the mirror, this will happen, and it goes worldwide. Worldwide. I was like, it's like, what's bigger than worldwide? Nationwide. No,
reverse.
So but sort of like these symbols of oppression, like private schools, and like how it sort of being a more elitist. Like it just felt like that was all part of an elitist and like stuff like that. Like, even though they weren't really responsible, like even though they did bully the one black kid in the scene.
It made, to me, I mean, I don't know, it bothered the fuck out of me, that scene. Like, not that it didn't make sense, it's just that like it sucks that this had to be like a representation of that. But I'm happy for the results of what happened afterwards.
but still like the generations are still paying the price of this bad thing, whether it's through like unwilling participation and not knowing that like, no, your ancestors fucked people. They fucked people. And like, like still like, and then, you know, having just gentrification come in and just like sort of like eventually, like if enough artists moves in, we'll give you a Whole Foods in 3 years, like stuff like that. Like, like, which that was another great joke. Like, you'll get a Whole Foods in 3 years. I was like, yeah, that's that. I mean, that South Park episode. But yeah, like just sort of the themes and like, and then also like with Yaya just like getting lost in the art and becoming the subject. Like that was like another big theme, like that I thought was brilliantly executed on. Yeah, and like he wanted to pursue this one subject no matter how much it killed everything around him, and then eventually killed him.
Yeah, which ultimately has been, coming from the first movie, has been plaguing him his literal entire life. This history.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this movie, like I said, I think it's a masterwork. I think what I said was a masterpiece. I'm going to say it's a masterwork. This is definitely a top tier for anyone coming into a theater. I think you you get so much out of these films, and I think the best horror films is when you do get something out of it. It's up there in terms of things that I've seen in the last several years, and things just keep getting better for horror films, and we're in a good place. I will say, as much as, and this is for any up and coming director, as much as I was like, after seeing this, just totally enthralled, I am a little scared about the Marvels, only because I just don't want them to be continued in that cycle. I want to see the next original piece or the next thing that they do. So I'm hoping that after Marvels, we get another wonderful horror film, or, seeing the other film that she did was a Western. I'm excited to see her in any genre at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, so she has a thing announced called the Lincoln Conspiracy.
Ooh.
Which is based on the book The Secret Plot to Kill America's 16th President and Why It Failed by Brad Meltzer and Josh Mensch.
Brad Meltzer, huh? Okay. He wrote some comic books. I've read that.
So, yeah, that sounds interesting at the very least. So, I mean, that is an adaptation, though. So,
we'll see.
But yeah, like, I mean, they're like, Marvel is giving with each feature, like, I mean, Doctor Strange notwithstanding, are giving directors more freedom. It seems like, I mean, like Thor is one of my favorite. The Ragnarok. I was like, Thor is one of my favorites, and you're gonna think it's the first one. No, Thor Ragnarok is like one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's just a nonsensical adventure by Taika Waititi. So.
Yeah.
I think if they allow her to do a lot, I think it could be a very good movie. But also at the same time, it has to somehow tie into Secret Invasion, because they're both coming out at around the same time, and both of the same
Miss
subject
Marvel
matter,
and
so.
stuff like that. So, or Miss Marvel will lead into
Miss
this.
Marvel. Yeah. Which we'll see if that show even comes out this year.
I
I'm
think,
still saying it's coming out February.
I think it's February, because I think Hawkeye might make it, but I don't know about Miss Marvel.
Oh no, yeah, Hawkeye. They already announced the date. I think it's like it's the 20 something. But yeah. So like, yeah, I think they're just gonna push that one, even though they're still saying it's coming out this year, which is what they said about WandaVision until December of 2020. So
of course,
look out for that. But yeah. Like I want to go see. Yeah, I want to go see Little Woods, or go rent it somehow. But like, yeah, like just, man, who were the other writers on this? Because it was Jordan
Peele and Rosenfeld.
When Rosenfeld, which nice hair, bro. Is a producer on Black Klansman.
Oh, okay.
I think. Okay, yeah, he's two writing. Okay, he wrote an episode of The Twilight Zone. Yeah, he's a producer, actually. He produced Candyman, Twilight Zone, the last OG with fucking The Watcher.
Wait, The Watcher from
No, it's not. It's actually that's a different thing.
Yeah, the last OG is with Morgan.
Tracy Morgan and
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish, yeah.
Yeah.
There's I think it's just called the OG with whatever the Watcher guy name. Hunters, Lorraine. So he looks like he's produced a lot of TV, and has produced Black Klansman and Candyman, and then something that is coming out next year, which he's only an executive producer on.
So I mean, he's got an upward trend. Good for him.
Yeah. Well, I think he must be he must be one of Jordan's guys.
Yeah, I mean, with Twilight Zone makes sense.
Monkey Paw. Yeah, for Monkey Paw. So yeah. So yeah, I just think it was like really well written. I hope this gets like an Oscar nod for Best Writer.
Honestly, yes. I want this to be totally nominated for an Oscar. I think the cinematography is also beautiful. I think that needs to be also in conversation. I didn't really talk about it, but I was hypnotized by the beginning of this film because after the little scene with Anthony, William Burke, young Burke, he goes through the title cards, and the title sequence is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, which of course, I don't know why I couldn't even think of the concept of why not just look at a city skyline and turn the frame upside down while it feels like you're floating above the sky. Like, like just seeing buildings from that perspective is so beautiful and gorgeous. And it's my city, so I recognize those buildings and it felt otherworldly, and it continued me feeling totally off balance until you get to the scene where, you're finally in the normal world when you meet the two, when you meet the brother. Before we totally go by, what is your final thought or feelings about the film before we
I'm in love with it. I can't wait until I can, I'm probably not going to go to the theaters again because theaters are now they're reserved for special occasions.
Yes.
Just because, got to be careful out there, everybody. Just like I can't wait to see this again and deconstruct it more and like just deep dive on everything about this. And God, I hope they release the screenplay at some point because that if there's a movie that I absolutely love and fall in love with, I can't I read the screenplay, I listen to interviews and everything, and I just can't wait. I'm so glad that there's I love Yahya Abdul Mateen, best version of Dr. Manhattan, hands down.
100%.
Aquaman,
Black Manta,
Black Manta, yes, Black Manta, and then he's gonna be in the new Matrix movie.
That got me very excited. Yeah. Really? And we confirmed, is that this year or is that next year?
So far, the release date is still December 22nd. If you Google search HBO Max same day premiere, it's still on their list to come out this year.
When do you think we can see a trailer?
It has not moved yet.
We got to see a trailer soon. Right?
Yeah, I was like DC fandom, but no. It's just Warner Brothers. It's not DC.
I don't know. Maybe Malignant? Is that coming out soon?
Yeah, maybe next week.
They could do that. I don't know.
Or Dune.
Dune at
the latest.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I love the concept that I read from the CinemaCon stuff, so I'm excited for Matrix 4. I'm ready to go back into the universe. Am I ready to rewatch the movies? Not really.
I mean, I'll watch the first one.
Yeah, first one's
it's
perfect.
It sounds like you only need to know that one, really.
Perfect. Well,
maybe they're sort of dialing it back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to know that they died at some point. Either way, spoilers for the Matrix. Okay,
Spoilers. Everybody dies.
Spoilers. Everybody dies except for Morpheus, but he's not in this movie because he died in an online video game.
He's a new Morpheus.
Oh yeah, there's apparently a new Morpheus. Anyways, thank you so much for being here and talking with me for about the length of the movie. We've definitely been talking about it. We have a lot to say.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is if you invite me to talk about a movie, it's gonna be as long as the movie because I love talking about movies. That's the deal.
Very good, very good. It's so funny.
So let's watch the Snyder Cut.
Actually, I got my email for my Steelbook. It's coming on. It's in the 7th. The 7th is when it drops.
Oh, shh.
Yes. So I got my 4K Blu-ray Steelbook. I'm very excited to.
I'm gonna try and buy that, but I fucking I remember when they're just like, "Oh, it's coming," and then I was like, "I should pre-order that." And I just forgot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kale, where can people find you on the net? Where do you want people to find you on the net?
You can find me on twitch.tv/KaleDelWriter. I stream there sometimes. Twitch is maybe not the best place right now for everybody. I sent out a whole message about that whole thing. last night. But you can find that message on Twitter at KaleDelWriter, as long as all my other socials, including Instagram and TikTok, at KaleDelWriter.
You're definitely a fun TikTok watch as well. So
Thank you.
please,
Ain't
everyone,
trying.
check that out. Of course, you can find everything here at Point in Progress, where we do a podcast every Friday. We try to do a live recording at our twitch.tv/Point in Progress. So if you want to come hang out with us while we shoot the shit, definitely come and do that. We are doing a lot of one-off stuff, and we're also doing some new, hopefully reoccurring things. I know that the people that love the Final Fantasy, Fiona, Frank, and Harv, are got something cooking up. I don't know if this will be out before then or after that, but definitely check it out if you are interested in the Final Fantasies. With that, you can also find me at that Mario Rivera. Can't find me on Twitter, but you can definitely find me at youtube.com/thatMarioRivera, where I have a Halo show where people play Halo with me every level. It's been a lot of fun, and it's definitely been an experience talking through and playing a game with somebody. That's definitely a format that I hopefully will adapt to other games in the future. Who knows? Maybe on this here channel. Of course, if you can, please leave us a like and subscribe. Tell us what you think about the film. I want to hear other people's comments and how they feel about Candyman 2021 and or 1992. You can also tell me about those other two movies, but I don't care about them. They're not canon. Whatever you say.
They don't exist.
Do you actually know the plot of them? They're really weird.
No.
A lot of,
I didn't even know the first one.
lot of weird.
I didn't know how well the first one was.
First two, all three movies are all about Candyman chasing a white girl, and it's very weird.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which also ends up being related to him. Really weird stuff. Anyways, this, of course, has been another PiP chat. We'll see what the next thing is. I'm going to try and convince Frank to do more with me because we're watching a lot of things. Maybe we'll do it for Shang-Chi. We'll see. But until next time, progress has been made.